What's up, y'all? So I have wanted to do a tutorial video of my beybot, two Twitch integrations I've been using for the past couple months. Beybot since last summer and GetTwitch since, I don't know, the last couple months actually, since January. GetTwitch has been a bot I created with my coworker on stream. So I bring those two up because this video is going to be an interview and also a presentation of those two bots to the GitHub education channel. If you're in school and you have a school email address, definitely go to the student developer pack, sign up for that, join the GitHub education squad, and get all that free stuff that's available there. But I had an opportunity to chat with the GitHub education crew on their Twitch stream. If you just want to look at the code, I will have links to the repos below. There, I've got in the README exactly how to deploy the bot for yourself. You can fork and deploy it pretty quickly. So if you are on Twitch, leverage these bots, connect your Twitch to your GitHub pretty easily, and I hope you enjoy. If you just want to see it live, of course, you can check me out every Tuesday and Friday on twitch.tv, bdougie. So finally, here's that interview about me talking about my Twitch integrations.
Thanks for joining us.
Cool. So speaking about joining us, I want everybody to join me in on this little exploration into this little tool I call beybot. Now, I told you I'm the Beyonce of GitHub. I also I also am the maintainer of beybot. And you're probably wondering what this is. Beybot is it's a simple integration to be able to go into a chat and interact with the streamer. So I do this intentionally because the one thing I love to do with my chat whenever I start streaming is everybody kind of welcomes himself into the chat by just saying yo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in yo in the chat. And I don't know, it looks like I got it on there twice too as well, so I should fix that. But the one thing that happens is as soon as someone comes to the chat, you also hear air horn. You won't hear it because I don't have my audio piped in to, actually, was my audio piped in?
No air horn.
Okay, which is probably better for you because it's pretty loud. But what I do that because I want myself to stop with the air horn and say hello to
Save our
whoever
ears.
comes. Yeah, whoever comes in the chat like gets an acknowledgement from me. So I just have these like one-off commands that you can come in the chat and say, welcome. I'll say foo. My favorite thing to type, the console.log, is foo la la. And I said foo la la needs a welcome. So there we are. So this is the basics of the beybot. And that's what this is. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to connect beybot to the GitHub education channel without telling Elise or Juan that I'm doing it. Because I'm going to...
Yeah, wait. I thought we had control here.
You technically don't because it's just going to show up on my screen. So for now, I'm going to go to GitHub Education. And I'm going to switch over to this branch where I already made the change. The one thing that about the beybot is it's just an index.html. I did this intentionally because I wanted to be able to show people how to build GitHub interactions without taking away React, take away Angular, take away all the other complicated parts, and just give you the basics to make this run. So the way this is really running is from some open source library called Comfy.js. Comfy.js is built by Instafluff. Instafluff is a whole nother streamer on Twitch. Highly recommend give him a follow because he's shipping really awesome content to make chat integrations really easy. I will also say that he also has a whole nother thing I'll show if I have time at the end that I use for my channel as well. But for now, just know that this is the Comfy.js library that I'm using. And then the other way this works is I actually have a couple JavaScript files, but the one that you really need to know is this one where I add the Twitch handle that I want to watch. So I want to watch this chat. And then I have some other JavaScript, which you're more than welcome to sort of read and catch up on this later if you're interested, or open up an issue as well. I'm happy to take issues and pull requests. But here you can see the GIFs that, or is it GIF? Good GIFs. You can see the good GIFs that I just showed. Yeah, I just showed these on my screen just recently, and then I have like a queuing system, and then I have what I really want to show is, and I say a queuing system because what I want to do is be able to take one chat at a time and show that on the screen. So if 7 of you all say yo, each one of you will do yo synchronously. And it times out of 30 seconds. So the first 3, or I think it only shows for 10 seconds. So we'll only get the first 3. But I do that intentionally because I don't want to have my chat be DDoS'd live on the air. But what you can see is if you ever wanted to add your own commands, you can fork this, you can add your own commands, and then I'll show you how to deploy this as well. And the magic of this is that all I need to do is go in my settings and deploy this to GitHub Pages. And the reason I'm using GitHub Pages is because, one, it's built into the repo. So if you fork this and you want to have this onto your chat as you stream, you can actually just deploy this in the same repo that you just forked as well. So I've deployed this to GitHub Pages. It's now actually looking at a different branch than I was before. So no longer pointed to my chat. It's now pointed to education chat. And the way, do I set a timeout so people don't abuse it? That is exactly why I set a timeout, because I don't want people to abuse any commands or come through and this overwhelm my chat or channel with a bunch of yos. I also have a pause command that only I can enter as well. Since you brought it up, Juan, there's a pause command that I can time out the chat for 30 seconds. So if it does get overwhelming, I will just go ahead and hit pause. And the pause command is indeed pause. So bang pause. I do use the exclamation point or bang because GitHub Pages are the new pizza. You might be onto something there. I use these exclamation point as my keyword for the command. It's kind of a general usage around Twitch to use the exclamation point and then your command. For here, just note that all these commands have to be prepended with a exclamation point. So I think I've successfully stalled enough to wait for that deploy to finish. But another thing I just want to point out, if you do use GitHub Pages, you will have this little environments section over here. And then I can go to my environment section and see that my last deploy happened about 2 minutes ago. And I want to say that was as long as I've been talking. So we're going to say that's the actual latest deploy. So now if I go into, you know what, I should go to GitHub Education and see if my beybot is active. And mind you, this is only going to happen on my screen because I happen to only have this connected through my OBS. And we'll talk about that in a moment and how I'm connecting this. But for now, let's see if I can actually there's one thing that I actually didn't mention, but it's fine. And I'll bring this over to the screen. So this is this screen right here is coming from my OBS. The one thing that I need to actually do is refresh my browser source. But this actually gives me an opportunity to show off how this works too as well. So
maybe we can talk a little bit about your setup as well. I know, what are you running your stream on right now?
So right now, hey everybody, it's me again. I'm actually, and this is a cool little feature of OBS. OBS is a open source library. So if I went to GitHub, all right, so here's OBS. OBS is an open source program that you can actually download right here if you really wanted to in the release tab. But I've downloaded onto my Mac, and the way I'm running my OBS into the StreamYard is I have a virtual camera that's right here. And it gives me the ability to basically go to different screens. So if I wanted to share my screen of me sharing my screen, I could do that. I could also show off my keyboard. Hey, everybody, it's live.
New angles.
Yeah, I've got a couple different angles. This is actually my cell phone. I can actually pipe in a cell phone camera into OBS as well, which is pretty nifty if you want to show off something on your desk, or if you want to do some drawing on streaming as well. I know not everybody has fancy cameras, so like just use your cell phone as a camera. Okay.
Juan Pa is inspired to set up a camera for his dog, so I would love to see that on the GitHub Education channel.
Well, yeah. So I'll just keep rolling through, and the one thing I did want to show off real quick, which I'll switch to. I won't share screen from my main screen. I'll share screen from here because I wanted to show the issue that I was having, where with OBS it's a browser source. So what I'm doing is I'm taking that GitHub Pages URL and I'm adding it directly to my OBS. So if you haven't used GitHub Pages, definitely check out some content or do some tutorials to get up to speed with that. But you will get this URL whenever you deploy GitHub Pages. And then whenever you make a change in OBS, because it's not a NodeMon server or anything like that, you have to hit the refresh the cache of the current page. So that way it'll grab the latest GitHub Education. So as you can see now, you can see Beyonce is now on the screen as well. So y'all just continue to yo throughout the entire thing, and I'll move on as well. But yeah, that's beybot. So if you want to use beybot, you can actually fork this thing and use it right now on your project. So at this point, I showed off beybot. I connected to the chat. So y'all are able to, I just paused it for 30 seconds. I just needed to finish my thought. I guess I didn't plan that out well.
Take a break. What?
How often the yos would happen. But y'all are too good. You're too hype, I guess, at this point. And actually, the one thing I did want to show off too as well is the fact that this is it's just CSS. So all the stuff that you're seeing on the screen is my GIF. It's my CSS. It's the words. So I have my text shadows animation right here. So that's what's doing the animation of the words that are coming in and out. If you're into CSS, you can do a bunch of really cool stuff. The other thing I wanted to point out is the queuing system. This is how I'm not being obliterated by all the yos and the welcomes. It's because I have a very naive implementation of a queue in JavaScript, which just forces everything to wait its turn. And then the other thing I just wanted to show off real quick too as well is the fact that this GIF or a good GIF, it's actually just being embedded directly into, all the way at the bottom of the page. That's what's powering the GIF. So you can see my title, which says the user's name. It generates the title based on this hash map that's right here, or it's actually just an object, not a hash map. But that's how I'm generating the title, and this is where I'm populating the GIF. So based on the command, you get a different GIF onto the screen. So that is that in a nutshell. That's like only one.
That's super cool.
Yeah, we just scratched the surface on it, and like you could literally fork this in the education org or into a repo, your own repo, and someone has been reading the code.
Oh yeah, that was a new one.
Yeah, so the music one was an example I did on stream a couple months ago, where we ended up using OneGraph, which we talked off air on OneGraph, but this is where we were using OneGraph pretty heavily. OneGraph is a GraphQL aggregator. Yeah, it's an aggregator for GraphQL APIs, and it's leveraging Spotify because I use Spotify to play my stream beats. It will actually stop the music if you do music, and then it will change the song to Rihanna's "Please Don't Stop the Music." But only plays 7 seconds because that's enough to not get DMCA'd. But yeah, that's what that is. So there's a whole. Actually, to be honest, there's a whole YouTube video about that, I think. But
that's a lot of power to give your audience, so they can play music throughout the whole stream and kind of like jump on stage.
Technically, they can play one song, which is the Rihanna song, for stopping the music. It's helpful if people are, if they are, which is funny because not a lot of people have used that since I shared it the first time on stream. So I already forgot it was there. But what I'm getting at is it's great for like if I'm talking about something or if I'm playing a video and people are like, oh, the music's still playing. I wanted to show off one more thing too as well. Because I think this is our sort of next level of interaction. So like we have the trivial, here are commands, see stuff on the screen. I think what would be really cool is to show a command to integrate with GitHub, and that's what the whole pitch was in the abstract of this talk was.
But pizza lights are cool too.
Pizza lights are cool,
and Beyonce.
Exactly. So real quick, I'll go into the regular share screen for you just to make it easier. Because I'm going to walk through and talk about this project first. So the one thing I wanted to point out is that we have this project called Get Twitch. Thanks. Shout out to Pafafu or Kathy. I never know how to say Kathy's handle, but
I say it about the same as you. Yeah.
Kathy created this awesome GIF that's also showed up in our UI in super secret hidden places. You've probably seen it already. But she created this and she allowed me to use it for this example where every time someone stars this repo, which is called Get Twitch, you will see an animation show up on my screen. So I've already got this connected to my OBS. I think I need to refresh it. Yeah, every now and then, if I get a deploy or something like that, it will actually need a refresh. So here you go. Here's Mona the Octocat, and she is saying, hi, it's a WebSocket connection. This is my generic message every time it gets restarted. just to confirm that it's working, because otherwise I would just be really annoyed and console.logging the entire time. But now we have, you can see that I've started the repo, so it's now catching up. So bdougie start is on repo. What a surprise. I do it all the time. It's okay. But if anybody starts that repo, you will also, just like the Yoge, you will see your face on the screen. It's catching up. There we go. Finally, no more stars from me. But I wanted to talk through how this works. So very similar to beybot, I have an index.html. I've done a better job in organizing this project, kind of. I do have a bunch of random stuff in here, but if you look in here, we do have an index.html, very similar to what we were just looking at. The only biggest difference is that there's a WebSocket connected, and that's what's powering the GIF alerts. Now the WebSocket's needed because I need to be able to talk to from my GitHub repo to my OBS. So and the way I do that is through a URL, and the way I talk to the URL is through a WebSocket. So that's if you aren't familiar with WebSockets, definitely it's a good term to look into if you're looking to level up and grow your career as a developer.
Yeah, maybe we go over really quick kind of what's the difference between a WebSocket and an API, or just general.
Yeah, actually, that's
I can as well.
A great explanation. But yeah, so WebSockets will give you access to listen to the API on a regular basis. And the beauty of this is that GitHub provides these for free in your repos. You just go into the webhooks. Sorry, it doesn't provide a WebSocket. It provides a webhook that I can create a WebSocket to listen to. So these webhooks, and I'll explain API in a second, but these webhooks, what they do is every time there's a change on GitHub, and at the moment, the only thing I'm looking for is a star. So also, and I'm looking for my password to get put in. Please don't two-factor. Okay, cool. So the way I can do this is I can set up a webhook, which I have this on Replit as well. So if you shout out to Replit, I know education is a big fans of Replit. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing I'm doing is I'm only looking for stars. So if I wanted to, I can look for repository changes or releases or pushes or pull requests. So anytime a pull request is open, I can see that in my repo on my screen while I'm streaming. But for now, for the sake of being trivial, and for the example, it's only stars. And here you can see I can get my webhook events that are constantly always just checking, and it will let me know whenever something's happening. So if you think of serverless, this is not serverless because I'm definitely running this on the server. I only need to get the events when they happen. Now with the API, I can go to api.github.com/bdougie/gettwitch/star events, and I can see all the star events. So every single one of these things with the payload, I can see received in a list. And I made up that URL because I'm not really sure what URL to hit stars is, but for now, just trust me, there's going to be a list of these in a JSON blob waiting for me to sort of traverse. You could set up a server to pull the API to look for changes. And then every time it hits, so every 2 minutes, it will hit to see if there's any changes on the stars. And then it will send it back to me. That could be very expensive if I set up a poll to, and like when I say poll, like not sort of like, hey, do you like this, yes or no? It's more of like, hey, is this working? Report back. And report back forever and indefinitely until I kill the server. So expensive processing, expensive all around, not the best way to use this, but it is definitely a way that people sort of solve a problem real easily. Thanks to GitHub offering webhooks, I'm going to set up a server with this library, which is called OctaKit. So this is a library called OctaKit Webhooks. OctaKit is a SDK to talk to the GitHub API. And the same maintainer created this library called Webhooks to make it easier for you to do webhooks and manage webhooks on a server. So just know that this exists, and that's what I'm using. And that's sort of the secret sauce and the magic behind this. And if I went back to GitTwitch, I'll show you the real quick code. So what I need to do is actually put this in a backend folder or something, or server folder, because right now I have a public, which is technically my front end. This is my public folder. And then this index.js right here is technically my backend, but which I realized could be confusing, and which is why I slowed down to explain that. I do this because I wanted to remove frameworks. So I didn't want to, if you happen to love whatever style of coding that you like in JavaScript or a JavaScript framework, that's another layer for you to learn how to do this. So I've removed that abstraction, and now you just have a long JavaScript file. And that's all I needed. But I don't know if I really need to point out every single line here, but just note that I am using webhooks here. I am processing this webhook with a secret, which is important to know that you do need a secret. I do call this out in the actual README in the instructions. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start listening for webhook events from the client. So I'm sending this to the client, which is my front end. That's all in the public folder. Again, I'm spending way too much explanation, which is going to remind me to edit this repo and to make it more readable. So apologies for making that. It's not.
Maybe that's if anyone's looking to contribute to the project or maybe use any of your projects, is there an area you're looking for help on, or you would suggest someone get started with kind of working on the project?
Yeah, my hands down the best way to get started, good first contribution, even if it's not an issue, is just use the thing and then report back. So if you report back and say, hey, this makes no sense, I'm like, oh, that's really good feedback. But pretty much no one does that. And I say that, and I'm not being, like, I talked to a lot of open source maintainers, talked to a lot of people who want to contribute. No one says, hey, I'm going to use this project in a different way that doesn't not explain the use cases, and then I'll report back on how you can do it. Okay. Most people just kind of like, if it doesn't work for them, they're like, hey, this doesn't work, and then they leave.